Hey everybody, Cinema Sickness here, and in this video we're going to take a look at Faster. Going into this film, I wasn't quite sure what I was getting myself into. I'm a big fan of action movies starring The Rock. I never got into wrestling. I'm not a wrestling guy, so I don't really care about The Rock as far as the wrestling aspect is concerned. But as far as being an action star goes, I love him. I think he's one of the best action stars out there right now. I love when they stick The Rock in an action movie. It always comes out beautifully. So I was really excited to see this movie for that reason alone. Action movie starring The Rock, definitely had to check this movie out. However, this movie gets really, really bad reviews. So I wasn't quite sure what I was getting here. I thought, it's a Rock action movie, but with really bad reviews, how could that possibly be? Even the more cheesier, maybe the more bad action movies I've seen The Rock in them are still awesome. I still absolutely love them. So again, going into this movie, wasn't quite sure what I was getting. Was I going to get a kick-ass Rock action movie, or was I going to get a pretty lame film? And after watching, I gotta say, I see where all the negative comments are coming from. The main problem with this story is not so much The Rock. He does a great job with what he's given, as he normally does in action films. It's the fact that you just don't really care about why anything's going on in this film. And the reason for that being, I guess I'll get into the plot. The Rock is part of a robbery. He ends up being the driver for a robbery because the driver ends up, for some reason, he bails out of this robbery. So The Rock, he actually steps in. His brother's part of this gang too, is robbing this bank, and he really needs the help. So The Rock's really doing this for his brother. He realizes the brother needs the money. He owes some bad people. So sure enough, he's going to step in, be the driver. Even though he has nothing to do with these people robbing this bank, he wants something to do with them. He's not that kind of guy. But again, he's going to do this to help his brother out. Well, after they steal this money, they get away with it. They get back to the house. It turns out they've been set up, and there's another bunch of people who are going to rob them for their money. And they end up killing them all off, including the brother right in front of The Rock. The Rock witnesses his brother get his neck slit. They do end up shooting The Rock in the back of the head, but he ends up surviving. He ends up going to prison for 10 years for his crimes, gets released, and now he's going on a killing spree. He's going to kill off one by one everybody who was part of this setup. Everybody who set him up, everybody who killed everybody, and especially people who killed his brother. The issue is, you just don't seem to care that he's doing this. I never found myself at one time really rooting for The Rock. I never really cared that he was going after these people. I just think it was the way the story was told. It just, for some reason, it just fell really flat, and it just never really made you care. You thought, okay, cool, he's going after these people who did, bad things, but again, The Rock, I think, again, they try to make it look like, oh, he set them up, or, he became this driver just to help his brother out, not that he was really that type of person. So they kind of make it look like he's a good person now out to get his vengeance on his brother's death. But it just, for some reason, just doesn't seem to work. You kind of just don't care. Then we have some side stories as well. We have a hitman who is just kind of like an action junkie. Just, he masters yoga. He's, rock climbing, climbs mountain. There's a picture of him, they show of him on Mount Everest. But he's also a hitman, and he does that for the excitement. He only charges $1 per hit because he's just doing it for fun. He basically wants to go around and kill off people, but of course the challenge really isn't there anymore. But he ends up seeing The Rock as a challenge, so he gets kind of excited for the kill. But again, he's addicted to it. He's addicted to action, and he's definitely an action junkie. Then we have two other cops who are trying to hunt down The Rock, one of them being Billy Bob Thornton, which I was pretty excited about that when Billy Bob Thornton popped up. I love seeing him in movies as well. I mean, the guy's kind of a complete douchebag in real life. I've seen so many interviews with him that it's really turned me off to Billy Bob Thornton as a person. But as an actor, I love seeing him in movies. So pretty excited when he showed up. He ends up being actually, he's addicted to heroin. So I thought maybe there's some kind of correlation there with the hitman who's going after The Rock being addicted to action, and the main cop going after The Rock being addicted to heroin. I thought, well, maybe there's some kind of correlation there, but it's not enough that I really cared or even really saw anything. It's not like they really drew like those two characters together with their addictions. No, if they were going for that, they failed miserably on that. If it was just a coincidence, it's kind of a stupid idea to. I mean, how do you miss that? How do you miss your two main characters both having an addiction? I think they were trying to go for something there, but really just completely fell flat on that. So anyway, they're both going after The Rock, and these are little side stories going on, but in the end you find out that the guy who essentially set up The Rock and his brother and the rest of the gang, the person who originally set them up was actually Billy Bob Thornton all along. He used his as a police officer, he has contacts, so he basically used all his contacts. They all went to the house and they robbed The Rock, his brother, and all the guys, and ended up shooting them all. So that's like the twist ending. Sorry, I just spoiled that for you. In all fairness, I kind of didn't see it coming. I didn't actually think that Billy Bob Thornton was going to be the main guy until we got closer to the end. Towards the end of the movie, I did sort of see that coming. I started to put two and two together and thought, oh, okay, I think Billy Bob Thornton's going to be involved in this somehow. And then, sure enough, again, he was the guy who set the whole setup all along. And The Rock, didn't even know. He wasn't really going to go after him because, he didn't know that he was the guy who set up, because The Rock had no idea. The Rock knew somebody set this whole thing up, but he had no idea who did it. So it just, again, I just didn't care. I mean, I'm watching this movie thinking, okay, there's side stories going on. There's cops going after The Rock. There's a hitman going after The Rock, and the hitman's again addicted to action, and he has this thing with his this girlfriend who he wants to marry, and she's all upset because he's addicted to action. He said he was going to quit, and again with Billy Bob Thornton, he's got a whole thing with his wife and his kid. But he said he was going to quit. The wife's trying to get her act together because she was addicted to drugs too, but she doesn't want Billy Bob Thornton coming back into their life because she's afraid that if he does, she's going to get addicted to drugs again, and he's going to basically bring them back down. So you got all these stories going on, and of course The Rock going around killing people for vengeance on his brother's death. But it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, he's going after people and whatever. I will give the movie credit. I kind of like The Rock's killing style. He doesn't really torture people or anything like that. He goes right to people and just, boom, you are dead. I thought that was kind of cool. A lot of times in movies, of course, they have to spat out their cheesy one-liners. Maybe for a while they'll torture them or say some things to them or make them really scared for a few minutes and then finally shoot them. No, The Rock just basically comes into your place of business or to your house or whatever like that, finds you, shoots you, goes on his way. I thought that was pretty cool. There's only one scene really where The Rock's going after this guy who right now, again, part of the people who try to steal the money from him, but he was actually, he's a bouncer now at a club. He goes in there and they kind of have a battle of words for a little while. Then there's a little bit of a fight scene, but it is over pretty quickly. The Rock pretty much kicks his ass, stabs him a bunch of times with an ice pick, and pretty much takes him out pretty quickly, except he does survive actually, and The Rock has to go back to the hospital to kill him, which, again, he goes back to the hospital and just, boom, shoots him a bunch of times and done. He doesn't, again, he doesn't say any one-liners or do anything crazy, just shoots him. So I give the movie credit for that. That was pretty cool in the way The Rock went around killing people. I like that. It was just very quick, right to the point, and he goes ahead and does it. He does let one of the guys go, though. There is one of the guys who was robbing them and part of setting him up and killing his brother. He is now a minister, and he does let him live. I guess he feels bad, which I think has to do partly with when he killed the bouncer, because the bouncer had a son, and he ends up calling the son on the phone because as the bouncers die, he hands a phone to The Rock and says, speed dial number 3, it's my son, tell him I'm sorry. And The Rock does call him and tells him that he's sorry and whatnot. I think he kind of feels bad because now he's talking to the kid and he realizes that he has a kid. And then, of course, when he gets to this minister, he realizes, well, the minister's, he's doing good things. He has children as well. I believe he said they were all adopted, but still, he has kids. And I guess he kind of feels bad at this point. He ends up not killing him, which I kind of had mixed feelings about. Because you do start to feel kind of bad. You start to think, oh, man, is he really going to kill this guy? I mean, he seems kind of on the up and up now. I mean, again, being a minister and having children. And, he seems that he really feels bad about what happened. And even in the flashbacks, they do show him kind of being upset at the fact that all these guys are getting killed. He didn't really seem to want that to be happening. So you do kind of feel like, I don't want to say bad, but you kind of think, wow, is he really going to kill this guy? And, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, yeah, of course he's going to pop him in the head. He's getting his vengeance, but he lets him go. And I had mixed feelings about that. I wasn't quite sure if I liked the fact that he let him go or not. I didn't quite, I didn't quite know what to think about that. Billy Bob Thornton does get what's coming to him in the end. The Rock does end up killing him, which again, oh, let's talk about cheese here, which again, I don't mind cheese. I like cheesy moments. But even I cracked up laughing at this. The end of the movie, Billy Bob Thornton, right when we find out that Billy Bob Thornton, was the guy who originally set up the setup, he finds The Rock, shoots him in the back of the head. The Rock falls down. He thinks he's okay and whatnot. And The Rock eventually comes back, shoots Billy Bob Thornton, and Billy Bob Thornton's like, how, and stuff like that. And The Rock holds up a smushed bullet. He goes metal plate, because The Rock has, they even mentioned this in the movie at one point, The Rock has a metal plate in the back of his head from when he was originally shot during the setup. And it just, the way it was said, I mean, you saw it coming. As soon as Billy Bob Thornton shot him in the back of the head, I immediately went, he's got a metal plate. That didn't kill him. I knew he was going to come back. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious that The Rock is going to come back and get Billy Bob Thornton. But just the line of, Billy Bob Thornton saying how, and The Rock holding up the bullet and saying, just, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to crack up laughing right now. Just saying metal plate. It's absolutely ridiculous and just completely cheeseball, but pretty funny all at the same time. I did just get a good laugh out of that. So anyway, in the end, the main issue with this movie is you just don't care. Just everything that's going on, it might be a somewhat interesting story and could make for a good story. It's just that the way it was told and set up, you just kind of went, I don't necessarily really care. I also kind of think the whole story with the hitman seemed a little pointless. I understand, his character did help with the story, especially with the whole, finding out that Billy Bob Thornton originally was the person who set up the setup. I get that, but I thought they could have done it in some different way, where you didn't need him. He just seemed like a really kind of pointless character and just kept kind of maybe taking away from the movie. He also helped with some action scenes. I mean, there were some action scenes involving him, but I just kind of thought he was kind of a pointless character and didn't necessarily need to be in the movie. That could have helped. Had they taken him out, maybe could have helped a little bit more. They could have developed the story a bit more, maybe. I think had they just left his parts out, they could have developed Billy Bob Thornton's character and The Rock's character more, and then maybe you would have been more interested. How we know more about the character, had they been more developed, had there just been more story to make you care for these two characters, maybe then it would have made the movie more interesting. Would that have actually helped? I don't know, but I think maybe, again, a little bit more development could have definitely helped. And had they taken that hitman character out, they could have used that time that he was taking up in the film to, again, develop the characters a bit more. So, when I say see the movie, if you like The Rock, if you like action movies, it's worth a watch. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a great movie. It's not a movie that you're going to be like, oh, I got to watch this one again. No, you're going to kind of see it once and say, all right, I saw it. I really don't need to ever see this film again. So I would say give it a rent. It's definitely definitely a movie that's good to rent if you're thinking about checking it out. As far as buying it goes, I would say, again, if you're a big Rock fan or a big action fan, you're a big fan of collecting those types of movies, I guess pick it up. Or if you're just a collector in general, sure, if you can get it for cheap, if you can get it for like $5 on Blu-ray or something like that, or even on DVD, I guess you could add it to your collection. But like I said, it just wasn't all that great of a film, so you're going to probably watch it once, and then you're going to be done with it. I have no plans to ever watch this movie again. I mean, sure, I'm glad I have it in my collection, because it wasn't a horrible movie, and I do like buying movies starring The Rock, but I would probably never watch it again, because honestly, it was one of those movies where after you're done watching it, you're just going to go, I saw that, okay. You just didn't care. You really didn't care about any of the characters, and that was the main downfall of the film. So, like I said, what I recommended, only if you really want to check it out, and even then, probably just give it a rent. Unless you're a collector, then if you can get it for about $5 on either DVD or Blu-ray, then I would say, sure, pick it up, add it to your collection, as it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It just wasn't all that good either. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next review. See ya.